Years ago, in school days, there were great doubts. What is the truth? We are taught to believe certain things by our parents, by our chapel, but is it true? There was a passage here and there in the Bible that caused a lot of bother. When the Lord said, "I am the bread of life," what did he mean? That in itself could have been open-ended. But when he went on to say, "My flesh is food indeed," what on earth did he mean? I recall at the age of 13 going to my mother with this verse, and she calmly said he meant it as a symbol. But then, because there was so much insistence in the sixth gospel that there was more, I insisted. And she added, "Well, if you want to believe that, you better go to the Catholics." And that's the first time I realised that they had something more in their faith, in that realm. It was uncomfortable. But what was my shock when I brought it to my Sunday school teacher, and he, being actually a crypto-Catholic at heart, a very wise man, he'd been to Oxford and all the rest of it, and he eventually became a judge, said in Welsh, "The experts say that that's referring to the Eucharist." Ouch. That was extremely uncomfortable. And I began to look in the Central Library in Cardiff for some kind of evidence in lives of holy people, for some indication, yes or no, as to whether one could prove things either way, or indeed the existence of God itself. And I remember coming across the likes of William Paley, a great deist, who proved simply from logic that there was a great brain behind the universe. But they were stuck at a certain point. But then, when I came to the volumes of Butler's Lives of the Saints, I began at A and moved through, and because A had a number of Antonies around, I bumped into the saint of this day fairly quickly. And what was my surprise when I found that this saint was actually a bit like us in his itch to want to preach. That was very important. And to be free and faithful to the gospel, like St. Francis, in whose movement he was caught up, an evangelical, in inverted commas. That was interesting. But it was far less comfortable when it came to what actually happened. It was lovely to see him preach even to the fish, who were more attentive than human beings, forming a congregation in perfect order, the little ones in the front, the middle ones behind them, and the big ones right at the back, all poking up their little noses to hear the sermon, while men had other things to do. That was great stuff. But it was extremely annoying when actually another animal came on board and said something to me which I didn't want to hear. It was this. This Jew was quite a nuisance and saying all kinds of things about the nonsense of this saint's sermons. And so he got the man to put his mule to a fast, and on a day he was to come before him. And right next to him was to be an interesting menu for this hungry beast, a bag full of delicious meal. But the saint, according to the story, which actually is true, it's well documented, came before the beast with the Blessed Sacrament and said, "Dumb beast, adore your God." And the dumb beast did so. A very reverent act of kneeling and adoration and bowing of the head, which is extremely uncomfortable for an evangelical Protestant to see. And so I got nervous and carried on reading and reading and reading. And there was a consensus. As one read these saints, one could see one thing in common. God was speaking a Catholic language, and not only that, a Roman Catholic language. Had it been an Anglo-Catholic language, it would have been a bit okay. There were lots of Anglican vocations in our family. But to be a Roman Catholic was not tolerable, and yet that was the evidence. Because, although we had miracles of healing in our Protestant faith, this one we didn't have. Miracles made to underline a dogma, and that dogma always Catholic, and to boot Roman Catholic. Ouch. I had hoped to be a good Baptist preacher, but this was uncomfortable. Interesting that a mule could teach me what to say and not to say. In 1996, I found myself by chance in the place where that had happened. It was in Rimini, and not yet a priest, but in formation, by then transferred to Sant'Antimo. There had been a novitiate outing, and the novice master took us to Rimini, where we had friends, and we happened to come across this very place where the chapel is there, and the cross at the very spot where the beast fell to his knees in adoration. It's on the block on the ground. And I recalled, wow, it all started there, and here I am. Soon after, I was ordained. So I wrote these words to that dumb preacher. This is the place where happened the miracle that in adolescence made me think. Dumb beast that taught the world without a word. The word to heed, therewith to bend the knee. 'Twas this, thine inward thinking, that I heard. This, thy clear vision, that I once did see. Through gazing on a page, wherein the age of reason ceased to be, for all was said. Good mule, that altered more than any sage in this thy strangest greeting of strange bread. 'Twas but a day like this that came this way. All days with but a nay for aye to bend. And now I see, blessed preacher, that thy bray, a volume of hid sermons, here did end, and that a little particle would hold enough to groom a shepherd for the fold. Ero protestante e volevo sapere la verità, e per caso sono entrato nella biblioteca centrale della città per vedere se la Chiesa Cattolica aveva qualche evidenza di verità sull'esistenza di Dio essenzialmente, tramite miracoli, e trovando i volumi del Butler, Le vite dei santi, sono iniziato e ho trovato presto Antonio, il santo di questa festa, e ho trovato la storia del mullo che si è inginocchiato convertendo il suo padrone miscredente, un geneo mi sembra, e fu sconvolto. Anni dopo, nel 96, mi sono trovato a Rimini, al posto stesso dove è accaduto. C'è una crocina sul pavimento e una cappella fuori. E mi sono detto, provvidenza è strana. Qualche mese dopo ho fatto professione e poi ordinazione. È strano che un mullo possa predicare e convertire un protestante.